What is going on, everybody? This is episode number 5. Mutant in the Mouth, myself, Nick Walker. Our podcast is rocking and rolling, man. We're having a blast, and we're actually lucky enough to bring you guys a podcast on a lovely Thursday night. This is a podcast / a PSA. So Nicholas, before I introduced the guest with the best hair, let's talk about what's going on with you since last week. How's prep life? What were you, 5.5, 5 weeks, 5.5?
It's five weeks tomorrow.
Five.
Five.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, Friday. Yeah.
How you feeling?
I feel great, man. Like, this is just smooth sailing, honestly. Like, obviously training is intense. You know, I do cardio intense. This is how I am. I probably don't need to, but I do it like that anyway.
What's intense cardio for you? Like, because I think some people, when they hear intense cardio, they're like, oh, I do like a 3 on the incline treadmill and I walk.
I don't really do treadmill, I'll be honest, once in a while. But for me, it would be like if I ride the bike, I'll put that, a level 12 to 14 and pedal like nobody's business that people wouldn't expect me to do.
That's awesome.
And if I do stairs, I mean, this might not sound crazy to people, but I'll do like a level 6.
Intervals or just straight through?
Straight through.
Okay. So,
like I said, honestly, do I really have to probably do that at my, where my body fat is and my size and things of that nature? Probably not. But it's mental, and it makes me feel good,
Now, are we still burger heaven this week, like we were last week? Like burgers back to
No,
back?
we haven't had anyone. He actually kept the diet at our normal base diet all week.
Now, did that happen? I'm going to say a lot of times when people think they add in cheat meals because they need to be fuller. And what happens is sometimes with me is sometimes the worse I ate, the faster my metabolism picked up.
No, it did. I think my weight went up a little bit throughout this week to like 264. Not because of that, because that went away. I had Maria. I let her run me through a leg workout on Tuesday, and it was like you know who Mike Van Wyck is, right?
I'll talk about him after, but yeah, I got a couple stories about Mike.
Okay, so she said, she's like, let me put you through one of his leg workouts. It's all supersets. I said, fuck it, let's do it. I'm still fucked up, bro. I'm fatigued. I'm tired. It was a great workout. I actually love training like super. I love that style, to be honest. I think it's a lot harder than training just heavy. Yes. I like intensity. I think it's what it is.
Yep.
But I should have started a little slower, maybe only done like one superset and kind of kept the rest, more basic.
Just, kind of like ease into it.
Yeah, but no, it was a good workout, and I think that kind of inflamed me a little bit. So the weight went up a little bit, but overall, I mean, I'm leaner than what I was at the I think at this.
Your pictures are looking crazy.
Oh, I sent them to. I'm taking tomorrow morning. I'll send them to you.
So yeah, crazy. But obviously we're gonna dig a little deeper into that. But before we get started, because I don't want him to awkwardly sit there and wonder when we're gonna introduce him. So the man sitting there with a similar shirt on to me, there it is my business partner, Mark Matthews. Mark, what's up, buddy?
Hi.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
How are you?
Mutant in the mouth. What does that make me? The beard?
The good-looking one, mute in the mouth, and the manscaped, mute in mouth and manscaped.
There you go.
Manscaped.
Call them the M&Ms.
Right?
M&Ms, mute in the mouth. That's great. So, Mark, we're here for a specific reason, but I want to explain to people how this whole thing came about. And I know Nick knows some of this because when me and Nick first spoke about uprising xtracts and what Kratom really was, I think I dove a little bit into this. But for the viewers that don't know about Mark Matthews and why Mark is so important to me, is because back in 2018, okay, more towards the latter part of the year. I was in Destination Dallas in Dallas, Texas. And Mark came up to me and he was like, "Hey, my name's Mark. I'm a fan." He's like, "I know about your story, about your shoulders, about your back." And he goes, "I really want you to try something." And I'm like, "What is it?" And he explained to me, which I'm not going to do, because I'm gonna leave Mark to do some of these parts. And he goes, "This is kratom," and he explained, it's a coffee leaf extract, and yada yada yada. And I go, "Well, what is it going to do?" And he goes, "Well, you have very bad shoulders and a bad back." And he goes, "Instead of me telling you what it's going to do, how about you just take it and you tell me how you feel?" And I was like, "I don't know why," but I was like, "Sure." And he was like, "Well, not now," because I was in the gym. He was like, "Do you mind, like, after you're done training, if we go back to your hotel, I'll sit down, I'll go over things with you." He's like, "You can take it. And then, we can go, kind of, I can explain to you like what it's supposed to do." So I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So here I am. I'm in Dallas, fucking Texas. This fucking jacked weirdo with a beard that was just shoulder pressing 140s was like, "Hey, I have a concoction I want you to try." And then he's like, "Can I take you back to your room and give it to you in your room in your hotel?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
He
sure."
went like this. He went like this. He went like, cha-ching.
Yeah.
Try
So-
this.
Did I have like a trench coat on as well, where I'm just like, "Hey, I got you."
But wait, hold on. I might be telling the story with theatrics, but any part of my story, is it wrong?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just have a very fucking phenomenal voice for telling stories. So
Yeah, no, I've seen horror movies that start less awkwardly than how you just presented that.
see, so we're sitting in the hotel room, and I'm like, he gives me it looked like a little shot, like one of those little 5-hour energies. I actually don't. I think I remember the name of the company. I'm not going to share it, but I think if I do recall, Mark, was it the company that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he gave me a kratom shot, and I was like, I think it was like maybe 20 minutes in. We were sitting here talking, explaining to me things, and I got up to do something. And I remember my back was fucking killing me. And I got up, I went to the bathroom, and I believe your fiance or girlfriend at the time was there, Samantha. Okay, she was there at the time, so it was her. So I felt a little safe that there was a woman there that wouldn't kill me, at least. So
You didn't know that she was the one holding the camera the whole time. So.
yeah, I didn't know the bullets were in her pocket.
Yeah.
And I came back to sit down, and I remember I sat down in the chair, and I kind of went like that, and I stood back up, and I looked at Mark, and I go, "Dude," I go, "I don't know if this is coincidence." I go, "But my back doesn't fucking hurt at all." And he goes, "Yeah, that's the kratom." And so I sat down in my chair, and I was like, did you ever see the remember what was the movie? Remember Transformers when he
Great
goes
movie.
for the Carmine, Tony? Remember Transformers when he goes in? It's the last one when he sits down for the interview with that weird guy, and the guy goes, "Impress me." Well, I sat down in the chair and I looked at Mark and I go, "Impress me." And I was like, "Tell me what just fucking happened." So I'm going to have Mark explain to you guys more about what metragenine, aka kratom, is, what exactly it does. And then, Mark, don't get into too many details because I want to dive into a little further about what we started together, how this came to fruition, how Nick became a part of this. So there's a big story I want to tell, and I'm very passionate about this because this is 2 years in the making. So I'm very passionate about this story and about this trio right now because both of you are a part of this. Mark, obviously, you're one of the owners. Nick is starting to get heavily involved, and it's becoming exciting. So Mark, that day when I was like, "Tell me what I just took and what is it doing?" Because I think Nick's going to benefit from this too. What is it? So explain everything about what it is. And you can obviously tell the fans out there like who you are and obviously how you got involved in the counterculture, aka the smoke shop stuff, and then involved heavily in the kratom industry.
Yeah. So everything that you said is true. And one of the things I remember you saying is you sat there It reminded me of, I know you use the Transformers, but it reminded me of in like Django Unchained, where DiCaprio's like, you had my interest, but now you have my attention, type of thing, right? That's kind of how it felt. And I asked you how you felt. And I remember you saying very specifically, you're like, I don't know if I feel like I can run a marathon or if I can have an amazing night's sleep right now, but I feel like I'm able to do both.
Yep.
Right. And that's a very common response that people have when they take kratom. So I'll start from the very beginning. Kratom is a coffee leaf. Okay, it's a coffee leaf that comes from Indonesia, comes from the coffee family. And what they found is that when you ingest it, out there they used to ingest it either by way of powder, or they would brew tea. They don't have any type of social lubricants out there like alcohol or cannabis or anything like that. So at night they would brew it into a tea, and that's kind of what they would drink to help them relax. And then during the day they would chew the coffee, or they would chew the leaves, and it would help them with their aches and their pains while they're doing labor, all that kind of stuff. So when they brought it out here, long story short, is what they found is it interacts with what's called the mu receptor in your brain. The mu receptor is what's responsible for a lot of the
and that's that's MU, right? Correct.
MU, yes,
MU.
not like a cow.
Yep.
Yeah, MU. And what they found is it interacts with that receptor. That receptor is responsible for a lot of things, one of which being pain relief, pain killing. Oftentimes people call it the opioid receptor. They call it that for a reason, but we can get into that at a later date. Essentially, that receptor is what's responsible for any type of neurotransmission. Like if your brain is telling your body one thing or another. So any type of ADD, ADHD medication, any type of antipsychotic, antidepressant, general euphoric, as well as any type of pain relief, whereas your brain is telling your body, hey, it's in pain, it kind of halts that by the way of release of dopamine. So what that means is when you took it, your body had pain. Your brain was helping essentially block that communication from your brain to your body, saying, hey, there's pain here, notice the pain here. Okay.
And that's because at that time the pain receptors were the ones at the forefront of what was going on in my body, correct?
That's what's happening. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. All right. So the crazy thing about kratom and the crazy thing about the way it works is it doesn't just do one thing. It does what situationally your body requires. So I always tell people, if you take kratom before you work out, you'll have the best workout of your life. Not only will you have pain relief from any types of aches and pains that you have, but you'll also be working out, and your body will give out before your brain even does. Your brain's just going to keep going and going and going. And while you're doing it, you're going to have an incredible smile on your face the whole time, and you're not going to know why you're smiling. Like, why the fuck do I just feel really, really good? Right? It's like every single song that comes into your headphone is the exact song that you're looking for.
It's like Dodgeball when he's like really, 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 really good looking.
Thanks for that. So, and then if you take that same kratom before you go to bed, you take that same kratom before you go to bed, it's going to help you relax. You're going to go to sleep. You're going to get some great sleep, some great recovery. I know that when I was speaking to Nick was mentioning a lot of what he does with his recovery for it. So it does all of those things sort of simultaneously, and it plays whatever song you need it to play, depending upon the situation and depending upon the body. That's where it's very, very unique and unlike anything else essentially on this earth. Whereas it is a stimulant, it is a suppressant, and it is an analgesic, all simultaneously.
Now,
yes,
how can it do what it does to somebody? Because when I explained it the first time to people, I remember stumbling over my words because I want to tell people that it gives you tremendous focus, a euphoric feeling, pain relief, energy, and can help you sleep. But the problem is, if you say that out loud, you sound like a fucking idiot.
You sound like a snake.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nah, bro.
But unfortunately, anybody that has taken it knows exactly what I'm talking about. So what is the reason behind that right there?
So I always tell people there are people who think they know what Kratom does, and there are people who have taken Kratom, right? And that's the way it is. People can read everything that the CDC, the FDA, the National Institute of Drug Abuse, all these things, they can read what they all have to say and try to draw their conclusion. But until you actually are able to try it yourself, that is the only opportunity in which you can go, oh, that's how it feels. That's what it does. So I'm not going to get into the insane chemistry, because I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce something and then trolls are going to be all up in my ass, and I don't need to do that. I'm bridging the gap between that insane I'm bridging the gap between that insane pharmacological science and the bro science, right?
Yeah.
The bro science is me handing it to Cisternino at a bodybuilding gym and going, bro, this stuff feels great. Take this shit, right?
Bro, you're right. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So what I will say is it does do all of those things. The prevalence here in America is based off of the analgesic effects that it does. And the analgesic effects is pain relief. What that means is that it helps interact with that mu receptor, which is, again, the opioid receptor. And so a lot of people that are victims of abuse or addiction that use or utilize anything from heroin to codeine to Oxycontin to fentanyl, all of those things, a lot of them have found great use in Kratom, not only to help with weaning off of what they're taking, but also in their general pain relief going forward. Because you have to remember, a lot of these people that end up taking those things end up doing so because they're in chronic pain.
And Mark actually, when Mark came to me originally, Mark actually told me, because Nick, are you familiar with what happened to me? Obviously, it wasn't a long time, but did you ever tell you about the Oxy story with me?
Yes.
So Mark actually told me if I would have had this during that time, that I would have been able to kind of mitigate all those negative effects that occurred. And when he just said the mu receptor, and then you hear the word opioid, there was a lot of talk on social media and on other channels of people saying that Kratom is no different than an opioid. And it, whoever, the people that said that, I've obviously reached out to and I've spoken to, and the issue I have with this is Kratom. I don't know how long it's been around for, but as long as I've been around, it's been in a smoke shop, which is called counterculture, right? That's what Mark refers to as that world counterculture. If you go to a smoke shop, Nick, anybody that that goes to a smoke shop, they go to get what? Their fucking THC, their nicotine, their Delta 9 gummies, Delta 10 gummies, Delta 8 gummies, their vape. They're going for to chase some sort of, whether it's a nicotine high, whether it's a high from Delta 8 gummies, CBD, THC, and people go there to take strong concentrated Kratom because they want to feel a certain way, whether it's euphoric feeling, whether it's the focus, whether it's the overall body sensation that sometimes you get, and they go there for a feeling. But I started utilizing Kratom for the side effects of, which is the benefits that I get from it. And if you take the efficacious dosage for yourself and utilize it the right way, and don't chase the high like people do when they go to smoke shops, then you can utilize it the right way. And something that myself and Mark have done very, very well is educate people and on the fact that, hey, if you have an addictive personality, and Mark, cut me off if I'm wrong, because I feel like, I might not be a professional in this, but I'm very well versed now in the Kratom world. Kratom, okay, is it from everything that I have done and utilized it for. I've taken Kratom for over 40 days and stopped taking Kratom, and I had no negative side effects. I had no problem sleeping. I had no issues with my appetite, with digestion, with going to the bathroom. But I know that people abuse it. I've done my research and I know everybody thinks that the more is better card. And I said that to Nick when Nick was like, I really like what this is doing for me. And I said, that's great. But you take it on an as needed basis. You don't need to take it every day. And you take it as you need it per what your body tells you. And what happens is that people, when they Google something, a lot of times, if you Google Cisternino, you're going to see negative shit. You Google Nick Walker, you're going to see negative stuff. You Google fucking Pipples, you're going to, perfect example, you're going to see so much negative shit besides positive stuff. And, Kratom, because it's so new, kind of has that not really gray area because people don't understand it. And mine and Mark's goal were to really introduce this to the fitness world for the benefits, because what it did for me, and I owe a lot of my last pro win might not have happened if I didn't meet Mark, because I used Kratom on multiple days to get me through training in so much pain. And I don't know if it does, but it almost gave me an inflammation type of response too in my body. I don't know if it's because inflammation. Yeah. Like reduced inflammation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I had less stress or I had less pain and the cortisol levels were less. So the inflammation was just overall less, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I'm sure if you took it before bed too.
And it helped. So it solved a lot of problems for me. I didn't have to, I talk about how much weed, THC helped me. And that was prior to me really knowing what Kratom was. And a lot of people maybe never heard me speak very much about Kratom, was because there was things going on in the background that me and Mark were doing that I didn't want people to know. So I kind of kept my mouth shut until I was like surprised. And it did. The Kratom really helped the last almost 3 years of my career. And, I've never said it to Mark, and because I think Mark kind of knows, but, I'm very indebted to Mark for introducing me to this, because he gave me, if I'd never met Mark, I might have never won my last show. I might have never went to my last Olympia. So like for me, this stuff changed my life, and it's not something that I take every day, and I take it on an as needed basis, and it has helped me. But also, if you don't use it the right way, you can be like one of the people that are reporting on it, calling it something that it's not, which is why Nick, when me and you spoke the other day, like, hey, I think we need to do a podcast on this, like ASAP, because I'm seeing some comments and you're like, and I know it's bullshit. So I really want to nip this in the bud. And I was like, I called Mark and I'm like, let's fucking do this. So, Mark, I want you first to express about, the certain people we're talking about in regards to the interviews. And then I want Nick to explain like his use. And like, I know he's touched base on it, but I want him to explain to people like why he uses it, when he uses it, what he uses it for, and when he doesn't feel like he needs it. Because I think it's very important to explain to people when you don't need to take it, not just when you need to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, lot to unpack there. First thing I'll say is, as it pertains to my helping you and being indebted to me, the one thing that I personally am addicted to is altruistic endeavors. Nothing makes me fucking feel better than knowing I'm helping someone else. So when I was able to help you, Guy, that was me feeding my addiction, and us partnering together is literally an ability for us to stretch that into so many other people. Yeah. And dude, if you saw the number of people that were signing up on our page, buying stuff, telling us how great it was, telling us how they got back together with their girlfriend after a fight, because
that was hilarious. I think I read that.
What the hell is that, right? That's the kind of amazing shit that I get a rush out of, right? So I'll move a little bit back here because I know you had a lot of things in there that I want to touch on. I was working in the film industry, worked in a lot of different projects that included opioid addicts, general addicts, and that's how I came to understand Kratom. And the first thing that I thought of when I saw Kratom as, why isn't this in the health and fitness world? Because of all of its benefits and because of its multitude of uses that can be used, literally, whether it's pain relief, energy, or sedation. It helps with all of those things that bodybuilders need. Mind you, the comparison to counterculture and bodybuilding, chasing that feeling, is very true. And it's also the overuse issue that both cultures have. Whereas I'm sure you guys know, someone says, hey, 300 milligrams of test is pretty damn good, and their immediate response is, yeah, but 700 is better, right? And I mean, so there is that what one is good means everything is better mentality. And that's why it's taken so long for Guy and I to come out with this, because we want to make sure that not only are we doing it correctly, but we're also doing it safely, and we're providing such a mound of education that we're able to mitigate any of those other things that come in.
And Mark, I'm going to cut. I mean,
yeah.
Mark, we literally said, if we're going to do this right, we need to like almost over educate, inform, and shove it down people's throats so they understand that this is a very useful product that works, and there's uses for it, and it's strong, and this is how you do it. So we talked about the education. I think we've done a very, very good job with the educating part thus far. I mean, the things we were talking about in our meeting today about how we're going to further educate the end consumer is phenomenal. So I think we're doing a great job so far. So I just wanted to say that. So
no, I agree with you. And we've literally only gotten started. That's the great part. We were going to have an amazing guest on this podcast. We're going to have a member of the American Kratom Association with whom we've been in constant contact to make sure that we're doing things right. They're the lobbyist board that helps with the regulatory guidelines. So just to go back a little bit, when I wanted to bring this into the fitness world, this was, I partnered with a couple of companies, and those companies were trying to get it into the fitness world. And ultimately they thought that the counterculture world was better because it's low hanging fruit. It's very easy for them to get them to purchase Kratom, right?
And you don't have to sell it to counterculture, because
That's
it's
like,
take it, feel it, buy it, done. Yeah.
Done. Exactly. Yep. And so, I partnered with a company, and their motto was, every day we get to sell Kratom is the best day of our lives. And I went, that's awesome. That's that altruism feeling that I really want to feel. And then that became, it's the best day of our lives because we're dealing with addicts. And every single time we're selling to addicts, that means we have a customer for life. And that's where I go, bye. Don't want to fucking be a part of that. Right. So that's when, Guy, you and I got in touch with each other. Right. And, like I said, for 18 months, we've been putting all of this together, rigorous testing, rigorous back and forth with the words that we can say. Kratom is not an FDA approved product. I
almost pulled out of this how many times?
Multiple times.
How many?
Yeah. Every single time that you're like, I would come and say, hey, I know this is how you feel, but we can't say this. We can't say this. The amount of times that I've seen Guy go, well, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, what the fuck can we say then?
Yeah, right?
Buy this because it's great. Period.
Exactly. Like, and that's ultimately where we go. Try it. If you want to try it, you'll find out. Right. Yeah. And so I've never heard of a company, whereas the two owners of the company get onto a podcast and you go, listen, this might not be for you. Listen, take it on an as needed basis. If you don't need to take it every day, don't take it every day. You know what that is? That's a terrible fucking business move on our side. But you know what it is? It's us wanting to make exactly. It's education, right? And we're going to have idiots out there that try to sell their own fiber saying, hey, this stuff's going to make you constipated because it's just like an opioid. No, sorry, it's not, bro. If it is, then I guess Tribulus terrestris is just like a fucking steroid because it helps stimulate testosterone.
Yeah, Tribulus terrestris.
Tribulus terrestris. Whatever. Fucking testalize. There, I fucking said it, Guy.
Oh my God, I wasn't saying that.
I know.
I reached out to Dave when he said that, and I was pissed off. And I sent him a text, and he, me and Dave have a very long relationship. Dave was my first coach, not my first coach, but my first like big name coach back in 2006, 7. I started with him. No, it's 2006, 7, and he helped turn me pro. I have a very good relationship with Dave. I don't have any issue with Dave. And I texted him that it upset me that he said what he said, and he apologized. And he was like, "You want to come on my podcast?" So, he just said that he heard certain, like other people. He said, I've heard, and what I know, and from people. So he got like third-hand info, and he really didn't know. And he put out something or said a couple comments that just rubbed me the wrong way, because when I hold people respectfully here, and they do something that kind of just hurts my feelings, as stupid as that sounds, it bothers me, because I don't expect those things. But Dave explained himself and apologized, and I have nothing but love for Dave. But yeah, Dave said it twice. I was like, Dave, stop saying it. Stop. Because literally, and the best thing was, I texted him and I go, I just bought $300 of your fucking fiber. Literally, I bought.
Hold on, real quick. You bought $300 worth of his fiber because you've been taking it for years, not because you started taking Kratom.
Yes. I no. I've been taking. So here, Dave Palumbo here on mine and Nick's podcast. I will advocate that Dave Palumbo's Fiber Lies is hands down, by far, the best fiber in the entire world, on the entire market. I have been taking it for almost 10 years, every single night. If I travel anywhere, that is the number one supplement that I take with me. I do not feel okay when I don't take it. It helps clean me out. It helps regulate me. It helps poop out of my butthole the way it should. And it's phenomenal. So Dave, your fiber is good. You better fucking say something nice about me on your next podcast. God damn it.
Yeah. Just on that token, I think it's important that we talk about that part for the education purposes. The FDA themselves don't call Kratom an opioid. They say that it affects the same opioid receptors.
Okay? Interacts.
Yes, and it does. There are two receptors that opioids work off of. One is called the mu receptor, which is what we already talked about. The other one is called the kappa receptor. The kappa receptor is what is responsible for anything that is negative about opioids, like respiratory failure, which is overdose, physical dependence, etc. Kratom does nothing to the kappa receptor. Go ahead.
Anybody that's taken, this happened to me when we were beta testing. Nick, I don't know if this ever happened to you. It might. When we were beta testing Kratom, we were taking different flavors in this. There were many times where I accidentally took like 250s by like 100 and then like another 100 and got sick. And I have thrown up from taking too much Kratom. It's made me actually sick on accident because I've taken too much of it. And that's my body saying, "Hey, bro, you overdid it. You're taking too much, and tone it down." The max that I can take in a day is one total 125 milligram shot. Yeah. And I can split that out through the day, because, as I don't think a lot of people know, our cap full is a serving size. So one of our shots is 3 servings. So 125 milligram shot, which Mark has right there. If you take the top off and you fill the cap, that is 1 serving. So there's times where I've taken that all at once. Yeah. I've taken that all at once. The cap is 1 serving. So in those shots, Nick, that's actually 3 servings.
I'm measuring the shit on my scale.
No, it's 1 cap. So you don't have to. So what a lot of people do is they'll take
get my cup and kind of, measure it out on the scale. I'm like, all right,
doop.
Honestly, I take a needleless syringe oftentimes, and I'll pull it that way because I'll know that's 3 milliliters. That's 2 milliliters.
Smart.
If I don't want to use the cap. Yeah.
Yeah, or you could just buy the 60 milligrams and just take the 60.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I just take. The 60s are my favorite because that's the perfect amount for me.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, it's depending. I can take anywhere from 80 to like 120 is what works for me. But the great thing about it is that if you do take too much, you just kind of, I tell everybody, you know how you feel when you take too much pre-workout? You just feel like sluggish and like you got that like sick feeling, almost like you're almost like a little like drunk, and like just feel like that's how it makes you feel. If it makes you feel like shit if you take too much. But that's the truth. It's like when you take too much pre-workout that's got 300 mg of caffeine. Take too much of that, you're gonna feel like dog shit.
Yeah. And the one thing I always say about that is the great part about Kratom is when your body has too much, it knows it has too much and it throws it up. It will get rid of it. And the great part about it is, and you guys could probably attest to this, or at least I know Guy can, when you take too much and you throw up, immediately you feel better.
Within seconds, you're fine.
Yeah, you're just like,
oh,
that.
You have, Nick?
For sure.
But again, we're talking about.
So wait, hold on, Nick.
I've gotten the nauseous feeling from doing too much, never thrown up.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, yes, some people get nauseous and they fight it. Some people just throw up. Like if I
It would last like a half hour though. Like it wouldn't be all day.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. It's not. It's quick. It comes in and you're done.
The same way that a pre-workout might. You know,
exactly.
Yeah, it'll fuck you up and then it fades.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Nick, how do you? I know you mentioned before, but like in the morning and then pre-workout, but like for you, what I don't fuck what me and Mark said about what it does.
Yeah.
Like, what does it do for like people use your code, which is Mutant,
Right.
but like, why should they use it? Like, what is the benefit that you see? Is it just how you feel? Is it the benefit? Like, what? Like, why do you use it?
Okay, well,
because at first you didn't want to use it.
No,
because,
I'll explain how that even started so
Yep.
everyone knows the whole story.
Go ahead.
I actually didn't really talk to Guy much about it. I remember I messaged Mark, and you know we had like a full length conversation about it. He explained to me in vivid detail, and I said, you know what? Okay, let me try. I'll try it. And he even said to me, he said, don't do too much. Like take very little, see what it does, and then go from there. So I said, okay. So I got it in the mail. And the first time I used it, I did it before cardio. And it gave me one of the best feelings I ever had. Full of energy, felt good, and I could have been on the bike or stairs for the whole day if I wanted to. I felt like a fucking marathon runner. I'm serious, like that's how good it was. Yeah. So I did the next day, I didn't do it before cardio. I wanted to do it just before training to see how that was. Pretty much same thing. You know, and Express, I did it on leg day specifically because I have a little knee pain in my left knee, and the pain went away. The workout was phenomenal. I felt great, felt happy, energy was golden. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So then the next day, I do it just before sleep. Tried it before sleep, and I don't ever have trouble sleeping, but I just wanted to try it, and I slept better. I did sleep better.
Ready for this, Nick? I'm just going to touch on that real quick.
I
know. Hold on. Just so you guys know, I'm giving you props. Hold on. People are going to get. My buddy text me. He took 20 mgs before bed last night. He sleeps horribly, and he sleeps with a CPAP machine. He texted me, want to know how I slept on Kratom, and that's what he said. I don't know if you guys can you see that?
I can't see it. Read it. No.
Okay. It says here. How about now?
Just read it, bro.
No, I want you to see it.
Just read the fucking thing.
Can you see it?
No, I still can't see.
Is that a Whoop shit?
It's a CPAP machine. It records. Okay. He slept 9 hours and 41 minutes, event per hour. This is the amazing thing. Okay. Because his events per hour are normally multiple in the double digits every hour, no matter what. Events per hour, 0.1.
Wow. So again, that's one of those things where.
So hold on, no, Nick, finish. Because Nick said sleep, and a lot of people go, "Is it really going to help me sleep better?" And I just was showing that as pure proof from somebody unsolicited that sent me a text that how good they slept last night.
Yeah, it does. It definitely helps you sleep. But now, being in prep, I find the most benefit for me before cardio. So I like to take it every morning before cardio. I'm sure as I get closer to the show, my sleep will kind of go shitty. So then I'll incorporate it before sleep as well. But for me, I think the most benefit right now is before cardio.
When you say before cardio, are you taking your shot, sipping coffee, then doing your cardio, taking your shot and like waiting a little bit, then doing your cardio 20 minutes later?
I take it before I leave the house, drive to whatever gym I decide to do fasted cardio. And by that time, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Now, how long? Because I think this varies. Mark, I don't think I've ever asked you, and I actually don't know if there's an answer. I don't know if it's individual. How long does Kratom? Well, I'm going to ask a question I don't know, followed by two that I know, because I know people are going to ask this.
Yeah.
2 questions. 1, how long does kratom last in your system? The effects to where you can feel it. 2, can people who take kratom piss hot? And 3, piss hot. Piss hot.
Like fail a drug test, not like, hey, they have really, really hot.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah. Piss hot. Oh no, not like not like spicy
Burning
hot.
my dick.
Not like you're peeing and you're like,
oh. Yeah,
That's hot.
He looks pretty normal, bro.
my pee looks spicy. And is it addicting? Those are the 3 questions I want Mark to run with right now.
Sure. So first one, how long does it last in your system? The easy answer, which is difficult, is it depends, right? It's the same thing I say about serving. It's the same thing I say about potency, right?
Yeah.
I weigh 230 pounds. I like to take 40 milligrams. That 40 milligrams before a workout lasts me for my entire workout, which is about two hours or so. And then when I eat, because I'm putting more food in my body and then it starts funneling again, I'll get like this reuptake where it hits me again, right? What I will say is obviously we have the shots. The shots, for some reason, it's the liquid mitragynine that's in it. This you will feel in literally like 2 minutes.
Yeah, you feel it
immediately, right? And it does last the same amount of time. With the gummies use a powdered mitragynine, which I'll get into mitragynine. It uses a powdered kratom extract.
Yeah.
But because of the very small grams of sugar that's in it, it does hit you faster, and then it leaves your body a little bit faster because your body digests
insulin response
a little bit fast. Yeah, exactly. So these ones, again, will last you about 2 hours, and then when you eat again, it will reuptake. What I will say is that with the soft gels, if you want something to last you a lot longer, the soft gels are the way to go, because the soft gels have MCT oil in it.
And they take a little longer to hit you.
They do, yes.
But they hit you, but they do this with you.
It stays.
Yes.
And then it levels off, and then it slowly does that.
Exactly. Yeah. So if this is like an elevator, this is like an escalator, right? Just slow and steady upwards, right? So all of them last a little bit different in your system.
Which one's a spaceship?
Yeah.
I want the spaceship.
Especially I mean, that's why we call it rocket bomb, right? So that's how long it lasts. Say again.
That's very spaceship-like.
Yeah. So that's how long it lasts in your system. Again, serving is dependent. I don't know how much you guys take. Again, as a 230-pound guy, I take about 40, maybe 60 on like a heavy leg day. My wife 130. Say again.
I'm good with 40 to 60.
There you go. Great.
See, so for me, I'm good 80 to about 180 to 120, depending. If I take it in it depends. If I take it in the morning on an empty stomach, 80 is perfectly fine. Sometimes even 60. But if I take it like before the gym after I've had food all day, I can handle 120.
Well, what I will say about that though is that's been your serving and how you felt since the beginning. It's not like you grew a crazy.
No, do you remember the first milligram you gave me?
60.
Okay, so there, yeah. So I eventually just graduated to double the serving, which is actually not really that much, right?
Right.
So
and that's throughout the whole day.
Yeah, exactly. So you're 40, I'm 80 to 120, Nick's 60, and Nick is Nick's both of us put together.
Yeah, exactly.
So like obviously, a 300-pound guy, I'm taking double than him. Motherfucker.
You still
shit on me, bro.
But if you doing that, you're still smaller than us.
Shut up, Mark. You were on business partners, fucking asshole.
So that's the answer to that one. As it pertains to pissing hot, what I will say is I am not only an owner of our company, but I am a fierce advocate for Kratom. I cannot guarantee that you will not piss hot on any other Kratom on the market, simply because I don't know how it's made, I don't know how it's manufactured, and I don't know what's in it. Even the lab tests, sometimes when I get them, it doesn't necessarily correlate exactly to the batch that's out there. So what I will say is I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that our products are not going to make you piss hot because I've seen the lab tests. I've seen it manufactured. I know exactly where.
And we do testing as well.
Multiple. We do 3 different rounds of testing.
Yep.
So it's very, very intricate what we do to make sure. And again, as I was mentioning with the American Kratom Association, everything that we do follows the regulations and guidelines that they recommend.
That they funnel. So the answer is this, and we're not bashing other Kratom companies, but the simple fact is, like Kratom, people can make the way people make dirty steroids, people can make dirty Kratom. So if people make shit Kratom, I don't know what's in it. And the way, I guess, to let Mark know, Mark taught me this, and it's happened to me. If you ever taken Kratom before and you've taken the same Kratom different times and felt different ways, that goes to show you that they're not being regulated, because that means, because it's happened to me, Mark. Remember? I'm like, how did I take this and I'm fine? I took this the next day and I'm throwing up. Remember when and it was like, well, because that brand is blah, 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 blah. So we can say that 100% you won't piss hot with Uprising, but we can't say that you won't piss hot using Kratom, because we don't know what's in everybody's Kratom, but we know where we source it, where our manufacturers go to Indonesia to take the 8-hour boat ride on the fucking water to go to the island to source the Kratom. Am I correct?
Literally.
No.
We're going this year, bro. So pack your beef jerky if you need to, because we're going.
I'll get Branch to get some fucking wicked cuts, man.
There you go. So the other thing.
This is the big one. This is the big one.
Well, what I'll say is, just to cap that one off, sometimes there are some Kratom companies that, even though they don't have any other things, that you can piss hot if you're drug tested for alcohol. Okay. Our brand, I have confirmed, you do not. And that's because we use only food grade solvents. We do not use an alcohol solvent. But sometimes there are other brands out there that use an alcohol solvent. And because of just that little bit, it's the same as using like fucking Listerine. It can make you piss hot. Yeah. But not Uprising extracts. I will say that one more time. Not Uprising extracts. Okay. Now,
read the shirt.
Yeah. Read the shirt. Now, here's the fun part about this next one, right? There's a difference between.
We're going to get a lot of. I know people are going to debate on this. I know it's going to turn into a debate. So everybody, I know people are going to want to comment, and I know people are going to have their personal opinions on this. So I don't care if you guys want to comment, but just like keep them like somewhat respectful, for the love of God.
Yeah, and listen, yeah, and if you guys want to debate it, if you guys want to have the conversation about it, we're happy to do so. We will, like I said, we will pass these along to the American Kratom Association, and they can speak on this and about.
And we're going to have one of those guys on at some point.
Absolutely. Not to turn this entire podcast just into an Uprising.
No. But I think now that we started it and Nick's involved in it, I think it's important for everybody to understand when I say we, I mean me, Mark, and Nick, what we're doing. And I wanted to make this a big chunk of this podcast today, which is why I want to do 2 podcasts this week. One podcast today, so we could talk about Uprising and bullshit a little bit, and then a podcast later on in the weekend, like me and Nick always do, our normal Mutant in the Mouth. So I think this is good. I think education is important, and as much as we talk about funny shit and bodybuilding shit and just the would you rathers or whatever, I think educating people and making people understand what it is they're fucking putting in their bodies is very important, whether people like it or not. It's fact. You have to understand what you're putting in your body. So per your comment, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So yeah, again, I agree with everything that you just said. So Kratom interacts with the mu receptor. Opioids interact with the mu receptor and the kappa receptor. The kappa receptor is what is responsible for those negative effects. Yep. It recruits beta arrestin, which is what causes respiratory failure, which is overdose when you take an opioid. Ours does literally nothing to that kappa receptor. I always tell people it's like if you're eating a burger saying, what's this going to do to my lungs? They just don't fucking match. They don't do anything, right? So that isn't to say that the feeling you get and the release of dopamine that you get from Kratom cannot be addicting, right? I'll use the CDC's definition of addiction. It occurs when attempts to cut down or control are successful, or when use results in social problems and a failure to fulfill obligations at work, school, and home. That doesn't say anything about a physical addiction. Okay. Now, you can take something and really like the feeling. Again, remember, a lot of these people that are taking this are taking it because they have really, really bad pain.
Yep.
Right. So if they're having really bad pain, they take something, suddenly that pain goes away. They take it for 40 days continuously and they haven't had pain for 40 days. On that 41st day, when they stop taking it and that pain slowly starts to creep back in, their body's going to go, oh shit.
Yep.
Oh shit, I'm feeling that pain again. What can I do to get rid of that pain? And they may go, that thing eliminates that pain. I need that thing. That doesn't mean that you are dependent on it. It doesn't mean that your body chemistry and your brain chemistry interacts in a way that makes you addicted to it. It simply means that you want that feeling again. A lot of people that have addictive personalities, or a lot of people that have suffered from addiction, turn to Kratom because it is a substitute for the other thing that they either can no longer have or that they're afraid of dying.
Because they want to get as close to a feeling as they can.
Exactly. And because it interacts with that same receptor, they get a small satiation, but that doesn't mean that they're getting the mimicked form of what they're getting, right? And so because of that, it's very, very important to understand that specific designation. Like, listen, someone can, be addicted to jerking off. That doesn't mean that sex is an addictive behavior or a dependent behavior, right? It literally just means I like that feeling. I want that feeling. I'm going to do everything I can.
Because there is zero physical dependency associated with Kratom, and that's a fact, correct?
Studies have not found any type of dependence within Kratom.
Yeah.
Most of the time, that's because it's utilized with the kappa receptor.
Yep.
And this does nothing to the kappa receptor.
Yep.
So when you hear about people that overdosed on Kratom, the one thing that I always tell people is look at the lab reports and you can see that every single one of those people are poly drug users. And usually what they have in their system is either fentanyl, tramadol, heroin, Oxycontin. Or
we spoke to the gentleman on the AKA about that, and he said that there's not one cause of death by Kratom.
Not one that's been concluded. Yeah. I mean, there was one that was a single drug user that they said, oh, it's a death by Kratom. They just failed to mention the fucking bullet wound that was in his chest. Like, okay, man, sure, it was definitely that little plant that you got from Indonesia, right?
Yeah, not
again,
the 40 cal.
Yeah, right. So that's, again, just to say, like, when people are chasing a feeling, they can continue to want that feeling.
Yes.
And that is, again, why we stress the as needed basis ideology. I will tell you that I've been blessed in my time working with Kratom to be able to help someone like you, Guy, someone like you, Nick, for very, very different reasons. Another one of my best friends is Joey Swole. Joey Swole, a couple of years ago, he made a very, very personal post on his Instagram that said,
I remember.
Yeah, I am addicted to opioids. He showed a picture of him sweating through his bed at night.
Yep.
Now, I didn't know the guy. I actually reached out to Guy and I said, hey, do you have his information? I just want to send him some stuff.
I think I said I did.
You did, yeah. You sent me his phone number and you got us in touch. And I told Joey straight up, I said, I'm going to send you some stuff. Best case scenario, it changes your life. Worst case scenario, it does nothing for you, and I truly wish you the best in everything.
And Joey just put in a huge order on our uprising extracts on the over the weekend.
Cut to multiple fucking years later, right? Now, let me tell you, after he stopped taking opioids and he used and utilized our product, it started with him needing this much to satiate this addiction.
Yes.
And then it would go down and down and down. Same thing that happened with you, Guy. Down and down and down. You guys were physically dependent on a particular product, right? Yeah. That particular product made you physically dependent. This stuff got you off of that physically dependent product. And afterwards, you don't need it anymore. Not the same way you needed that. You need it because you have aches and pains. You're like, oh, I want to take it because of
no, I never took it. Remember, I didn't have access to it when I came off.
Right.
That was you told me that I if I had it, I could have utilized it and helped. But then I remember it helping Joey substantially. Yeah.
But for you, you don't have an addictive personality. You were addicted to something. Yes. Joey doesn't have an addictive personality. He was addicted to something. We gave him something that for some odd reason, the misinformation is out there saying that it's addictive. We have 2 use cases of actual people that go, nah, man, not me.
No, it doesn't. I'm not at all. I mean, I took it for 40 days straight. Came off it with zero issue.
And that's what I always tell people. If you drink an energy drink and you drink one of our shots every day for 40 days straight, and on that 41st day, you stop both of them, you're going to be feeling a whole lot worse from that energy withdrawal than you are any type of kratom withdrawal.
Well, and if you hear Nick sat here and said he took it for pain, for focus, for energy. You said you took it for very similar reasons. You guys know why I took it. Not one of us here said that we took it because we felt high. Yeah. So if you utilize it for the proper reasons, like we're saying, you're not going to run into an issue.
No.
Period. And that's the important thing. And, you know, there's not a lot of supplements out there that are made by bodybuilders, right? To help them I mean, this could help with energy, with focus, with anxiety, with sleep, with your mood, with pain. I mean, the list goes on. Yeah. I mean, and you're talking about a coffee leaf extract or it's organic. It's I mean, we talk about people wanting things natural. This is right from the earth. And and what it does is it is mind-boggling what it does. And I told you what it was when I took it, Mark. What did I say to that hotel room? I said, I'm going to make a company with this product.
100%.
And 2 years later, this is where we are. And these are the conversations that we're having. And it's absolutely amazing. And I'm shocked that we're sitting here having Nick promote the brand, wearing the Uprising shirts. We have our website. That's great. I mean, we're already selling out. Who the fuck? We're selling out, or if not almost sold out of product.
We bought enough for what we would expect to be quarter 1 and month 1. I'm looking around like
we're not even out yet. Yeah, we're not even over 1 month yet.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
So I mean, I'm super excited. So I appreciate Nick's support and Mark, everything you've done. I mean, Uprising Extract is an absolute dream, and it's a blast that we're having a huge time, and we're gonna have a lot of cool things happening with myself, Mark, and we got a lot of things in the pipeline that I think are gonna be really cool that we're gonna able to involve Nick in, that we have already spoken about. So I'm very excited for that. But what I want to talk about is you guys mentioned something, and it was about, I wrote it down. We were talking about training intensity, and Mike Van Wyck came up.
Yeah.
Mike Van Wyck is somebody, he's almost like I'm trying to find the words, because you look at him, and he's the type of guy who you will look at and you will judge the book by the cover in 2 seconds.
1000%.
He's this fucking huge, jacked,
tatted up,
mean looking motherfucker. And when I tell you, this guy is the most genuine, humble human being that probably I've ever met. I met him years ago, to the point where he actually reached out to me after we hadn't even spoken. This is going back probably 10 years ago. And he was like, "Hey, I'm coming into New York City. I'm one of Drake's bodyguards. If you want to come into the city, I'll get you tickets." And I'm like, why is this guy even fucking reaching out to me? Like, I'm a fucking nobody to this guy. And then we started talking, and then I went into the city, and he came out, he grabbed me and my boy, brought us in. I was on this like mezzanine section with like Victor Cruz and like these NBA players. And, Mike was just always taking care of me. And then we just built a bond, and, I'm always shooting text messages and sending him Quadro stuff. And a huge, I think I shouted out on Fuad's podcast, Bro Chat, that I'm on. And Mike sent me a bunch of hoodies in the mail. And he actually, I have to give him this. He reached out to me 2 weeks ago, because anybody that follows me and knows my clothing, I have an image of me walking. It's got a hood on, the sleeves are cut off, and Mike goes, "Hey, the artist that I'm using says he thinks that you're logo is very similar to this. He goes, so I want to send it to you and you tell me what you think. So he sent me the logo and I sent him my logo back and he goes, bro, he goes, it's exactly the same. And I go, Mike, listen, I said, it's you. I said, if it was somebody else, I'd probably fucking say, don't use it. I said, but you're fucking one of the nicest dudes I know. I said, you want to use it, go ahead. And he goes, nope. He goes, I would never do that to you. He goes, I'm not that type of dude. He goes, so I'll figure something else out. But training intensity, have you guys ever trained with him or have you just seen what he did? Or did you just get put through that workout, Nick?
Here's the thing, like I know probably training with Mike's a little more intense than me training with Maria, right? But Maria's also she also don't fuck around either, which is why
she don't give a shit.
Which is why one of the reasons why I love her, you know, she don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But it was really intense. Like I was like we did our first superset. She was like, "This is warm up." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Warming up for throwing up?
I'm like, I could go home after this shit. What do you mean warm up?
So, well, here's a question, and Mark, I'm going to ask you. You're on the podcast, so and I've never got to ask anybody else a question on our podcast besides Nick, and Nick too. Haven't had anybody else on. Nick, where did your train? And don't say nobody, and don't say I could because when anybody goes, I came up with it myself. It's impossible because we all came up in bodybuilding, watching certain things or reading certain books, or you're figuring things out. So where did you build your foundation of like, where did you get your mentality from? Is like whether it was like slow and controlled from watching this guy or like the intensity factor, or like, where did you like pull your fucking, your motivation from? Because I know where I know who I looked for as far as like physique and training and like, where I picked things out from certain individuals because I knew who I wanted to kind of mirror an image. And, you know, so kind of like, where did your, and Mark too, like, you know, cause a lot of people don't know, Mark, you're jacked, even though you fucking, you have more tears than I do in your body, but
I fucking do. The things we do to market our fucking company, guys.
I know. I tear my quad to show you guys that my Kratom works. Where did your training styles come from? Like where did you get some of your like ideologies from?
When I got my most gains, or like when I first started training?
Oh, both. Like when you like, because I know when I started, I could literally, I could tell you guys like when I started, this is kind of who I was watching and what I was doing, and then as I went on, this is kind of what I did, and then I learned from this guy, and now this is my belief and how I train.
Okay, so basically, obviously, you know, the obvious answer was I watched Jay Cutler, and I saw the high volume approach. And that's how I started training, and I loved it. I like high volume. I honestly really do. And then once I got with Matt, he wanted me to lower the volume, kind of go more intense with that one set, slow it down. So that's what I did, and I think that's what honestly gave me the most mass for my entire career. And now that I feel like I have enough mass that I don't really need much more for my physique height, I think I incorporate both within the workout. I do a little more volume, a little more sets. Obviously, I don't go balls to the wall on one set anymore, but I still keep everything very, very slow and controlled. I still do have like that top heavy set, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I don't do like, you know, the warm ups where they'll be, you know, do like one rep and then, you know, kind of go that, you know, 3 reps on this and then get to that weight like you're 10 to 12. I'll work up doing sets of 10, sets of 12 until I reach that one. Okay, this is the weight, and I'll do it, you know, as if it's my slow and controlled top set type of thing. And then I honestly love drop sets. So depending on where I'm at in the workout, I'll do a drop set with it.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I do. I'm a big believer in you need to do what works, obviously, but what you have most fun with. You know,
do you ever grab the weight now, like? You know, when you do shoulder press, I mean, I've seen you do your shoulder press. I mean, you're here, you're control. I mean, do you ever just grab the weight and just, you know, just like, do you ever just fucking say, you know what, grip and ripping it?
If you want to be
honest, I'm just asking. I do.
I don't know how anymore.
That's fine.
That's interesting.
And, like, you don't know how to just.
You know what, Nick? You're probably better fucking off.
100%.
Better off. You're better off to not know how to do that.
I want you to pump these last like 10 out.
Yeah,
it's still like a controlled pump. Like it's not like So I just don't know how to just, grip and rip.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said it before. Watching you train with the slow and controlled is some of the most impressive lifts I've ever seen. I mean, listen, watching Ronnie Coleman train and seeing the shit that he did, and Branch is with his intensity is impressive. But watching you do it and making it look easy is what's impressive.
Yeah, you do,
So
man.
it is. So, Mark, what about like you? Because you were a power lifter. You broke like every record in your state. I think when you were like 13.
Yeah, my age and weight. So yeah, I'm actually a third generation world champion powerlifter. So me, my dad, and my grandfather. My grandfather was named one of the top 25 Supermen of the century.
By the way, I'm cutting you off. Your dad.
Yeah.
Nick, don't roll your eyes. I'm giving him a chance to talk about his fucking pops. His pops is fucking one of the most awesome dudes I met. He came to the Olympia weekend, and I noticed, and I like, and he I'm guessing, Mark, if you don't want to talk about this, it's fine, but I can obviously cut it out of the podcast.
No,
but I noticed I pulled Mark aside because his dad was wearing shorts, and you could see it was very badly burned. And I pulled Mark, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, did was he in a fire, like an accident? And Mark told me the story. And when Mark told me the story, and actually his dad told me the story right in front of him. Actually, no, I think he goes, go ahead, tell him. He was like, oh, you tell him.
No, what actually happened was you were like whispering it to me, and you're like, hey, I don't want to bother. And I'm like,
yeah, I didn't want to ask him.
I don't know why you're so fucking burned.
Yeah, well, because like I'll admit it, like I'm nosy. Like if I see something and I want to know, like I'm gonna ask. I'm like, what happened? And so go ahead. So Mark, real quick, tell Nick what happened, or
yeah. So again,
if you're cool with it, obviously.
Of course. So my dad, my grandfather was named one of the top 25 Supermen of the century, doing clean and jerks, power, a lot of Olympic lifting type stuff. My dad was following in those footsteps. He wanted to move his way up to go to the Olympics, and he got into a motorcycle accident. So he was driving just 5 miles an hour on Santa Monica Boulevard, and someone cut him off this way. The point of impact was only 5 miles an hour, but he had a Honda bike. And when he slid during the collision, he actually slid on top of the gas cap, which was a faulty gas cap, the pop-up gas cap. And they knew about it, but they decided it was easier to pay people off than it was to, fucking actually do a recall. So he landed on top of it. He fell down, got knocked out, but it was the small spark of the bike hitting the floor that actually caused the spark. And then my dad has 3rd-degree burns on 50% of his body now.
Like burnt, like just lit him up.
Yeah, literally lit him up. And so he obviously, after that, he wasn't able to do Olympic lifting anymore, so he moved into powerlifting. But we've always been a family that born and bred fucking lifting, whatever it was, Olympic, power, bodybuilding.
And the reason why I was bringing up the burns is because even with his legs being burned, you could still see how jacked his calves were.
Dude, this motherfucker's calves. People wish they had.
He has jacked, burned calves. I'm like, dude, you're fucking jacked when you're burned, and your calves through the burn marks still are completely fucking jacked out of your life.
Dude, we laugh about it. It's like you burn not just the skin, but any morsel of fat that could be on that leg.
Yeah.
Like it's cross-striated.
Crazy peeled.
But he moved into powerlifting, and then actually my birth announcement was literally like a fake cover of Iron Man magazine that they sent everyone back in the 90s.
That's funny.
That's how ingrained in bodybuilding I was. But I was on the powerlifting side because that's just what my family was. So that included a lot of, obviously pause reps, doing powerlifting. I didn't start until I was 12. But when I was 12, I weighed 165 pounds. And in a meet, I did 235 at 12 years old. And then just moved my way up from there. When I was 20, I weighed 190 pounds and I benched 540.
I think that's more than Nick weighed at 20.
Yeah. Without a raw, without a shirt. And it wasn't until I tore this pec, and it was a full clavicular pectoral tear, snapped my tendon so bad they have a cadaver's Achilles tendon in here. And after that happened, that's where I was like, I should probably stop powerlifting. And the powerlifting, as you obviously know, it's the controlled coil down and then the fucking explosion to the top, right? Well, that explosion is what ultimately causes, in my opinion, a lot of the tears that I have, because I also tore this one. But that's when I kind of moved out of doing powerlifting into bodybuilding. And I lived in Southern California, and you can read all the Flex magazines and Ironmans back in the day and the muscular developments, but it wasn't until I started training at Coliseum Gym, which was Milos's gym.
Okay.
Dude, I just walked in there, and
that's the one with all the yellow equipment.
That's the one, yeah. I walked in, I'm like, this is fucking home. I'm looking around, and Luke Wood is passed out on a cot in the corner. Dennis Wolf is walking in, getting ready for his first Olympia. And Milos is in there just making sure every person on the fucking squat machine is throwing up immediately afterwards. Like, that's that circuit high intensity.
Did you ever train that circuit training with him?
I was too scared to train with him, but I would watch what he was doing, and then I was like over on the side, like, I got next. I'll do this next.
People will argue that. I have done the giant set stuff. I've done stuff like that. And some people will say that it's going to tear down your muscle tissue and you're not going to grow from it. But you're going to hear so many different arguments. But obviously, everybody has their end result to the method in which they do it. And Milos has shown that his method obviously works. Now, will it work for everybody? That's to obviously to be seen. But it obviously works for certain people.
What'd you say, Nick?
That shit's fucking intense.
It is intense.
And it's all his whole
ride.
Nick, his whole workouts are giant sets.
Yeah,
I know.
Like that dude just finds pleasure in pain more than any dominatrix.
Can't do it, bro.
I mean, my rep range, I don't know about you guys, like what your belief is. My wheelhouse of rep ranges are between usually when I was competing 8 to 12. Now I'll literally go anywhere from 8 to 20, if not even higher. But I do a lot of drop sets. But what is it like? When I was competing, I was always in that 8 to 12 range. But what I did, I don't know if Nick did this, but Charles Glass did this, but this is something I had already done. I would always, at the end of every exercise, I would always, for some reason, if I was doing chest or dumbbells, like let's say I was doing incline dumbbell press, I would do 3 sets. That last set, it would be my top set, but I would do like 150s or 60s for failure, drop to 100s, failure, drop to 80s, failure. So I would always do my last set would always be a huge drop set.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's how I like to train.
Right now, I'm lucky enough to train. I'm in here in Texas, so I get to train over with
Hunter
Labrada and all the guys over there. And you obviously know how they train. They got their top set, and then their intensifier on the next one. And that's it seems like that's kind of a lot of what you're doing as well, Nick. Is kind of going
to a degree,
yeah, less on the rep range and higher on the weight and the intensity, but. I mean, shoot, I was there today, and Logan Franklin, who's an amazing guy.
Logan's a great guy.
He's an amazing guy, but his style of training is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen, dude. Like, he gets so deep into what he's doing that he's telling me like parts of my body that need to move that I'm like, my legs don't do that. But he's like, no, you have to do it. And then you watch him do it, and he's got like this weird mind muscle connection with a 5-second positive and a hold with a 5-second negative. And he's like,
it works for him.
Right here. It's fucking crazy. And it works really well for him. But I think that has a lot more to do with like the classic physique modality than it does the bodybuilding modality.
You know what, Nick, one question I wanted to ask you, because obviously now that I can't train my quads, is I've been playing around with like different splits. What split do you like? Is your split always the same, or do you switch it up? Because John, when I worked with John Meadows, he used to switch my split up depending upon like what he wanted me to focus on. Now that I can't train legs, like this week, I kind of been playing with my split. So what is your split always the same? Because I've been looking at other people's splits to kind of see what I want to do, and I haven't really found one that I'm super impressed with yet.
So honestly, as simple as it is, my favorite split I was actually doing after the Olympia, which was a 2-day on, 1-day off. And I would do legs, chest and biceps, take off.
Chest and biceps?
Yeah. And then I would do shoulders and triceps, and then back, and then take off. So I would take off after the bigger body parts. And I just felt good and refreshed.
Literally same split.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do so. Monday I did back. Tuesday I did just chest. Wednesday I did arms.
Do like an arm day and maybe like hit back again or something.
So Wednesday I did arms. Today was off.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I was going to do back again, and then Saturday do a shoulder dominant with a little chest at the end.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I mean, that's kind of the split I was going to do.
Hams or no?
I can't. I know because I can't. That quad. I mean,
You can't-
now when were we on here last week? Sunday.
Yeah.
If you see what the tear, the progression from the swelling going down and how the it looks now, you could see it a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more prevalent now.
Yeah.
So I can't do it there. So I got to look at. There's no because it's torn in the belly of the muscle. They can't reattach it. So it's he's like lucky you did it, but he's like still you got to take off your 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, it's upsetting, man. And we talked about why it's upsetting, and
you can find ways now to train differently, but just find a style you enjoy other than what you were doing.
And that's hard, Nick, and it's hard when I come and it's hard when I come on a podcast being 40 years old, and we have our podcast together, and I'm the guy that's coming on here that used to be the guy in your shoes, right? Like I was the one that people wanted to interview because I was the up and coming guy, and I was the one that was competing in the shows, and I was the one getting ready for the Olympias and the Arnolds, and you have to not. It's kind of like that, right? I had to find a different way to still be a bodybuilder in the bodybuilding sport, and I have to find a way to still be a bodybuilder in the gym. But the difference is that I've only known, like when you walk into a gym when you were a football player for 15 years and then you transferred into like that mindset transitioned into bodybuilding. Like it's hard for me to step out of that realm of when I go into, I have a picture downstairs and it says prepare for war, and prepare for war was a tagline that I use with the old company with Nick Puccio and Dr. Kepko and Adam Centurion Labs. It was prepare for war. And because that was kind of like our motto, like prepare for war. Like when you go to the gym, you're preparing for war before every set, before every rep. And that was the mindset that I had. And the problem is that being retired, I have to walk into the gym and I'm not preparing for war, and I'm not preparing for a competition. I'm preparing for life.
It's just now mentally you have to prepare for war. You have to find different ways now.
Yeah, so I'm trying to learn to test myself the way you do, Nick, with slowing down the movement and lighting.
Look, you keep doing it, you might like it more because you feel
yes, 100%. But the problem is that I start off my workouts, right? Like this.
Yeah.
And then as I get tired, it turns into.
Now you start speeding up.
Because you get tired. So I'm learning that I have to, although getting tired, still have to pull back.
You train with people, which is a good benefit here. So even when you get tired, continue to control the negative and let them help you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just,
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not used to that, right? I'm not used to somebody having to spot me and push me up. So it's like, I feel them go like this. And my brain goes, you got like my fibers are like, you got to fucking explode if they're touching you. And it's very, and people are like, well, why is it so hard? I'm 40 years old. I've been doing this since I was fucking 10, 11.
Like what I said, right? Like, can I ever just train explosively? Like, no, I just don't know how anymore.
You might not be able, it might be hard for you to ever again train explosive because you're so in tune with the tempo that you've developed over the years. It's almost like breathing and talking at this point. It's like trying to tell you to have an accent.
It's second nature. You can't just change it.
Yeah.
And I also think with you, kind of what happens is when that heavyweight comes in, because that shit happens with me as well, is you go from the best case scenario, which is muscle recruitment and muscle failure, to, oh shit, movement failure, right? And that's I need to move this weight by any means possible, by any, at any way you can. One of the things that I've been able to use and utilize is, I'll have someone like Ben Chow, who's a good friend, when he's spotting me and I start failing, he'll see I start, speeding up, and he'll literally tell me, he's like, your job is to squeeze. Your job is to squeeze. I'll move the weight. Your job is to squeeze.
Yep.
So your spotters and you're hitting and you start to do that jerking. If they just tell you your job is to squeeze, if you contract, the weight will move, and if it doesn't, then it's no longer that muscle that is making it move, right? So that whole your job is to squeeze mentality is something that just lately I've been using and utilizing a lot.
It works for sure.
Yeah, sometimes a training partner can make or break you in the gym.
You really can, man.
Whether like I don't like you train with Mark, Nick, right?
Yeah.
Now, out of all the training partners you have, let's take Mark out of this because he's new and we're not going to count him.
Okay.
Whether or not you still are friends with the people or not, and I know you've trained a lot by yourself, but who I remember you trained a little bit with Kyle Wilkes.
Yep.
Out of all your training partners, who's the best training partner you've ever trained with? And it could have been a one-time deal.
Fucking hot seat here.
It could have been like you trained one. It could have been you trained. I don't think we ever trained together, but it could have been like you trained with me one time, and you're like that branch or like that one. But
Guy, before I can answer, me and you never actually trained one-on-one.
I don't think we did.
No, even that time. Remember when me, Matt, and all them came in? Like we never trained.
No, but there was like 5 of us doing arms that day.
Bro, it was too much.
Yeah. That's a circuit.
But if I had to pick, honestly, it would be my brother.
Really?
Here's the thing, right? Like my brother was the type of trainer that he didn't like if you pushed him. He liked to kind of, I'm gonna do my set. I'll push you to yours. And I think because he was my brother, he knew how I operate. He knew how I train. So he knew how to spot. He knew how to push the intensity for me. And, we didn't train together often, but when we did, it was always one of my favorite sessions.
What gets you going in the gym, and what are there things like that it could be pet peeves, but I'm talking more about a training partner. Like there are things I will tell my training partner, I'll be like, do not do that. And then there's things that like I tell them, like, if you don't do that, I'm going to get pissed off. Or if you do, like, I'm very specific. I'll tell you what my things are, but there are things like, listen, I know people that do not like to be fucking screamed at in the gym. And I'm very, and here's the thing. I don't overdo it on purpose, but anybody, Carmine's here, Tony's in front of me. Anybody that knows that Mark's trained with me, I could be in a hotel gym or at like, when I'm training, I just am me, and I just like to push people, and I can't help what comes out of my mouth or how loud I get. It's just me in the gym.
No, that doesn't really bother me. If anything, it just helps intensity,
Yeah.
So let me ask you something.
Before you answer, Matt is also one of my favorite partners, but he was the complete opposite. He never yelled, he never screamed, but for me, he had this way of just bringing out the fucking monster inside of me. And I would get like, say on a leg press, if he knew I was about to fail.
Wouldn't he walk up and say something like quiet though?
He would just sign me, like throw a comment out, and I would be able to get like 10 to 12 more reps.
Yeah, he'd be the guy that like to go behind your ear and be like, say something like,
you're a little bitch, right?
Yeah. Like you're fucking Nick Walker, and you're not gonna fucking do this.
Pretty much. Well, and the thing was, people don't know, and Matt is fucking strong, bro.
Yes, Matt used to hang. Listen, Matt used to hang with Dallas back in the day.
Stronger. So when we would train legs, it was a fucking battle, man. Because I'm like, I am not gonna let this 190-pound motherfucker outwork me.
Matt, it's all good. I'm only 200 pounds, bro. I love you.
Yeah, but he actually has quads, bro.
Fun, obviously. But like we would be on like the hip press. we would have the same weight, and he'd sometimes get more reps. And I'm like, motherfucker, man.
So let me ask you on that token though, because you brought up two people. One, you brought up your coach, and the other person you brought up is your brother. To me, the commonality between those two people are people that
relationships.
They have a relationship where they can say, "Nah, motherfucker, you have two more."
Yeah.
You're like, this hurts. I think I'm gonna rack it. That person's gonna push that bar back out and go, "Nah, motherfucker, I know you have more in your fucking tank."
They knew how to do that for sure.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
What are some of your like things, you know, like I have something I've said to my training partner, and it pisses me off because if I'm leading the workout, right, and we're doing, I don't know, incline dumbbells, and I'm doing 12 reps, when I get done, he's like, I watch everybody's reps, everybody's set. I watch their make sure what they're doing, their form. I watch everything from if they're doing bench, from their feet to their fucking shoulders. I'm watching, and he'll like walk away and I'll be like, how did you do? And I'll be like, let me tell you something. And I've said this to him like a few times. If you're fucking paying attention, you'll never ask me what we're doing. But if you fucking walk away and go talk to your fucking friends or text your fucking bitch on the side or fucking do this, or I go, then you don't know what we're doing. I go, so if I'm watching what you're doing, then you better fucking watch what I'm doing. Because I don't want to explain myself, because I have a rule. Tony and Carmine, the guys that are here in the gym, they know when I train, besides screaming and they're like and like cheering my training partner on, I don't talk. I don't have conversations. I won't answer you. My training partner all the time talks to me, and I look at him and I go, because if you are wasting your energy talking to me, then you are not fucking putting enough effort into your set. End of story. And that's how I really feel.
Well, that goes to your prepare for war thing.
And
never fucking seen two people on a battlefield going, anyway, I was going to call that girl Paula the other day, but we didn't end up meeting. Like, that doesn't fucking happen.
Listen, it's not even about going to war. Go ahead, Nick.
But I was going to say, when I train with Maria, there's no talking. It's literally the only thing we'll say. Well, she'll look at me and be
You're
like,
set.
Do you want more weight?
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah. There's nothing left to say.
She'll say to me, like, put a 10 on, or, put this on, or take this off, whatever. But there's no, like, side convo.
No. Like, unless I'm showing him how to do something because he's not doing it right, correcting his form, or somebody's interrupting me, other than those three scenarios, there's really no talking going on, because I'm so in sync with my training partners that I train with that I don't need, like, they know how to lift off. They know what weight I'm going to start with, what weight I'm going to jump to, what weight I won't fucking go to. And I think that's important to have that synergy.
Yes.
And be in sync with your training partner. I think it's very fucking important. I really do, because for me, some people go, well, I don't train with a training partner. Well, for me, coming up, I had to, because, and as egotistical as this sounds, I was probably one of the strongest guys in the IFBB when I was competing. Not at 212, probably one of the strongest guys in the IFBB competing at the time I was competing. Now, I couldn't train that way if I didn't have a training partner, because some of the things I couldn't do without a lift off, because when you have fucking short midget arms, like, there's things I need help with and things I can't do, so that was very important for me. And some of the guys that, listen, I've trained with a lot of people, a lot. I've trained with fucking Dexter. I've trained with Branch. I've trained with Rolly. I've trained with Dennis. I've trained with Johnny. I've trained with you name them, Dallas, Flex, Jose, David Henry, Juan Morel. Like, there's not anybody I've trained that I've not trained with. Every one of those guys train like animals. Nobody. And he wasn't my training partner. But when I showed up to Texas, it's me and him. And he literally, when one of the reasons why I want to move to Texas is because he said, he's like, I need a training partner and I need a lifting and I need a hunting buddy. So Branch Warren, there is nobody in my eyes that trains harder and more intense with more of a passion for just the simple fact of being in the gym than Branch Warren does. the guy has a way to bring out sides of people that I haven't never seen. And he just has a way to just look at you and without even saying a word, make you fucking dig deeper than you've ever dug. Now for me as being somebody who's trained with training partners, and I don't know what training partners listens to this and which ones they don't, but my best training partner that I've ever trained with, his name is Mike Polumsky. I think he's about 55 now. We trained together from about 2013 to, no, I'm sorry, 2011 till about 2017 together. And for somebody that was that much older than me, that kept up with me and pushed me as much as he did, Mike Polumsky, if you're listening to this, I mean, me and Mike, obviously we're still keeping in touch, but by far the best training partner that I've ever had. And recently, Chris Nice, who's a 21-year-old kid, is the hardest training partner that I've ever trained with. And I've been with him for 2 years. And I know I'm taking a lot of the mic time and I'm not trying to, but these are topics I don't get really to speak on heavily. And what is the one thing that you guys notice when I talk about Chris, who's 21, and Mike, who's 55?
What do you mean?
There's something very similar between those two people. They're
They-
so fucking far away from they're nowhere near my age gap. Mike's 55. He's 15 years older. I'm 40. I'm 18, 19 years older than Chris.
That's true.
Guys who are so nowhere near my age and not pros. Those two guys were the most hungriest, driven, hardworking, passionate motherfuckers that I've ever trained with because of one reason and one reason only, because they just fucking love to work out.
Yeah.
And that's important. And that's something that I feel like doesn't exist. Nick, I'd kick you out of my house in fucking 3 seconds. What you doing? You just did. Look on the floor right now with your camera, and I guarantee there's water on the floor. Take your camera, and I want to show me that there's no water on the floor. Right now, show me that there's no water. Show me. No.
There's no water.
There's no water.
I would fucking kick your ass, bro.
No water.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves.
There's no water.
Bro, you're one of my biggest pet peeves is a list of how many? Like 300?
You know what? I was in a good Machiavelli motivational speech.
You were. There, he's definitely going to cut and use
And
that.
fucking drips ahoy over there. But no, what I'm saying is that the passion for bodybuilding, the passion for just working out is not in as many people's souls as it once was. And I think if people want to know what really emulates a good training partner, it's not the IFBB status. It's not how strong they are. It's not the shows they won. It's not the accolades they've had. It's the fucking heart that they have. And that is the most important piece to any puzzle of anybody's success in anything that they do.
I agree with this.
Yeah, it goes back to that phrase, the man who walks for the enjoyment of walking gets a whole lot farther than the person who's walking for the destination, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's exactly what you're talking about. If you love what you do, and that's where I, as your friend guy, see where your frustration comes in, because you have long acknowledged and taken understood that you're retired, but that doesn't mean you don't want to still do the things that you do.
Yes.
And that's where that frustration comes in, because you fucking love it. The first time I ever met you was backstage 2016.
You remember this. This is the one I don't recall.
Yeah, I interviewed you, and you literally said, you're like, I don't work out to get on stage. I get on stage because I'm already working out.
Exactly.
I love that.
And And you don't have this, you don't do this stage anymore.
No.
But you still want that fucking workout. And just like what you're saying, man, have you ever trained with someone and they struggle on a rep and you help them because it was clearly their failure?
Yeah.
And they have that wide eye and they go, I got another one in me.
You're like, you mean I'm going to pull this off you? You're like,
I mean, that sucks. But when they actually do have another one in them and you can see that they're pushing themselves to be even better and even better. And even when they're failing, they still want to do that even better and even better. That's to me that drive, that heart that you're talking about.
Yes.
I failed, but I'm not failing yet.
And like you can tell in somebody's eyes when they say one more, if that one more is going to come from their fucking heart of hearts or it's going to come from you.
Bro, you ever train with someone and you're like, one more, and then that final rep they do was the easiest rep of their entire fucking set?
Yeah. Where was that?
Where was that the entire time? And you go, I don't know, I guess, because I knew it was the last one. I went, then why are you training, bro?
I'm going to write this down. So I'm going to get Mark, Nick, even though these aren't like these are, I just want to see. Nick, what was some of your best lifts? Like, what was the best bench you've ever done?
Oh, we're fucking doing this?
Yeah, because I know I know you were a power lifter, so I want to see who was actually strong. Because I know I actually have some proof of mine on my phone. But
my best bench was 525 for 5.
So hold on, 5.
Hold on, did they help on any of them?
No. I mean, if it did, I wouldn't have counted it.
All right.
Squat.
What did I do for squat? What 6 plates on each side?
585.
585, yeah.
I did 585 for 10.
And with deadlift.
Bro, you're here to embarrass me right now is what you're doing.
7. I did 7 plates aside. I don't know what that is.
585. That would be 675.
I did 675 for 5.
Am I right? Am I wrong, Mark?
On 675?
Yeah, that's 7 plates. Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah.
I did that for 5.
For 5. Okay. Well, so my strongest bench I ever did was 405, 425 for 6. But I preface with it was flat barbell bench, and it was the last thing I did that day for chest, and it was my last set of the entire day. And
how did you somehow find a way to find an excuse?
It was I have the video. It was literally the last exercise of the day that I did that day. My training partner, Rich Vellucci, again, one of the guys, he's up there. I just didn't train for him as long. He was there that day. It was 435. No, 425 for 5. That was my best bench. My best squat was 5 plates, which for 20 or 25. Fakari Mubarak was there. So 5 plates is what? 495? Yeah. So I got 495. It was either for 20 or 25. Fakari Mubarak was there. He was my coach at the time. He saw it. And my training partner. Deadlifts, I don't know because I haven't been able to pull from the ground in so long. So, I mean, I know I've racked a lot, but it's not from the ground. I know I used to consistently pull from the ground 6+ plates, but to put a number down there, I would have no idea. But Mark, you have had a lot of impressive numbers. That's why I asked. This was more to see who was stronger, you or Nick.
My bench was impressive. So just to give you a little history about me, which I'm sure you know, but I'll refresh your memory. I was in a wheelchair, bro.
I remember.
I was in a wheelchair ages 5, 6, and 7.
Yep.
With a deteriorated hip on my left side. So that's where I got all my upper body strength, was literally being a fat kid in a fucking wheelchair, pushing myself around. So that's what got me to be able to bench, 230 pounds at the age of 12. But I didn't get a complete hip replacement until I was.
Nick, did you know that he had a hip replacement when he was like 10?
I did not.
I didn't know I needed a hip replacement when I was 10. I didn't get it until I was 27.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so my squat, my deadlift, all of that, I literally did with one fucking leg.
That's crazy. That's why your one leg is atrophied more than the other, correct?
Exactly. That's why my left leg is 1.5 inches smaller in circumference than my right.
That's
But
crazy.
my best bench was 540. Best deadlift was 600.
For 540 for one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're talking PRs right now.
Oh
Right?
yeah, true. Well, mine, me, Nick and
That's because you guys were
no, I know,
bodybuilders.
I was just asking. So 540 for one.
Oh yeah, 540 for one. Deadlift was 600 for one, and then squat was 550 for five.
That's
It's
impressive.
fucking yeah, it's really good. What are you talking about? He's like, it's not that good. It's fucking very good. You nuts.
I mean, all of that, I was 200 pounds.
So we can all say that we kind of train like powerlifters and bodybuilders combined. Like we all train pretty fucking heavy.
I think we all went through that phase as bodybuilders where you listen to heavy ass fucking shit.
Yep.
Everyone wants Ronnie Coleman, bro.
But this is the problem. I think the guys that skip that phase of going through that grip rip, throw a lot of weight on, I think the guys that miss that fucking screw up a lot of their I think they don't build as good of a foundation as they could if they fucking actually had that time where they gripped and ripped it.
I believe that.
See it in their physique. I'm not going to name names because that's not my place, but you can see.
No, you can. I've always said it, Mark. You can see the guys.
Yeah. Like Regan. You watch Regan live, and that dude. I mean, he knows a mind muscle connection like a motherfucker. But when I tore this one, funny story, and it's deprecated to me, not Regan. I was at the Dragon's Lair.
I was there.
Yeah, and I saw Regan come in. I'm like, this is a big son of a bitch. And he gets on the chest press and he starts doing this thing.
Sideways.
Right? Yeah, and he's got one plate on each side, and he's going super slow and super contracted. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is this bitch got one plate on each side. So I got the Arsenal strength. I put 8 plates on each side.
How's that cactus?
The fucking week before, I did the same amount of weight for 12. So it wasn't like it was too much weight, but I was like, I need to show this guy what it looks like to grip it and rip it. And guess what? I gripped it and I fucking ripped it. And I literally I have it on video.
Rip.
Say again? Yeah.
That's why they call it the grip and rip.
Exactly. So I fucking ripped it. And I literally I looked over at him as it was tearing, and he's looking at me like, hey, you probably shouldn't have done that. And I'm like,
I remember that day. I was like, when you text me, I just tore my chest. I was like, oh, Mark, what did you do?
So stupid.
What are you eating?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's for better or for worse. There are people that overdo it, like myself. But
of course.
I do think that there needs to be some sort of power, some engagement of that fast power muscle that ultimately engages that muscle
I
tissue.
agree with that. We all get to that point where the foundation is built.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you can switch to a different approach and make it even better. But like you said, if you never built that foundation, you can always tell.
You got to build the foundation, and after you build the foundation and build the house, then you can fine tune it, change the molding, paint the walls, fucking make sure it's all it's almost like it's like the fine touches and final touches on a car, like you polish it,
Yes.
So on that, we've been out for a while, so I'm going to fine polish the end of this podcast. This was a phenomenal podcast. I think it was very. It wasn't a lot of bodybuilding, but it was very informative. I want to thank my business partner and very good friend, Mark Matthews, for coming on our podcast, Mutant in the Mouth. Me and Nick are very pleased to have had you on. And we're going to be coming back in the future with guys from the AKA on here to answer any more questions regarding the Kratom. Myself and Nick will be back on here this weekend for our normal episode of the regular scheduled Mutant in the Mouth. And Mark, anybody, since you're on the podcast, I never have a chance to do this. My first time actually ever doing this, but anybody you want to thank, bud?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want to thank you, Guy, first and foremost. Obviously, people don't realize this about Guy because of the abrasive nature that he tends to convey. But I say this with all the love of my heart when I say he's the kindest piece of shit you'll ever meet in your life. He is absolutely the kindest person, and I appreciate everything that you've done, all the doors that you've opened. I hope in our relationship, in our partnership, that I'm able to do the same for you, Nick.
I already have.
We've met a couple of times here, and I'm really, really happy and excited for you to be on the team, a part of the team. One of the things that is crazy about this industry is we found something in the health and fitness industry that is new, you know, and it takes a lot of balls to come out and say, you know what, this is new, but I'm sticking to it.
Oh yeah.
And in 10 years, when there's 2,000 different brands that are out there, people are going to remember two things. They're going to remember this was the first, and they're going to remember you two were the people that were part of the first, right?
Damn right.
So, yeah. And then of course, you know, I would be no one without my wife, who fucking, I have to do it, man.
We cut those little baby nuts off.
Yeah, dude, for 18 months we've been putting this thing together, and there have been a lot of times that have just been so fucking difficult. But Guy, you've met her multiple times.
Oh yeah, Sam's awesome.
Yeah, she has our back. She's been working on this just as long as we have. And we have a small, you know, facility here that we're working on. That includes the fulfillment, that includes the social media. I do the social media with Guy. So anyone that goes on Uprising Xtracts on our Instagram, you're going to speak to me, you're going to be speaking to her, to Guy. And then anytime you order from us, if my hands aren't on it, my wife's hands are on it. She's the one that's filling it. So we started all this shit with a hope and a wish. We brought Guy on. Now we brought Nick on. Fucking sky's the limit from here, bro.
Yeah, man, we're blessed.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
All right. So we are going to sign off here. Myself, Guy Cisternino, co-host Nick Walker, soon to be two-time Arnold champion, Mark Matthews, myself and Nick's podcast, Mutant in the Mouth, signing off. Appreciate each and every one of you. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys want to hear from me and Nick in the future. Questions you guys want to have, things you maybe want to see us film. Me and Nick obviously living in different places, but Nick having family here in Jersey and me traveling around the world are going to give us opportunities to be together. So there are things that we're going to be able to film tandemly when we are together. So let us know some cool things you guys want to see. Like, subscribe, comment. Mutant in the Mouth. Nick,